Next one, moving on. Again, these might seem like superficial tips because you are all dedicated linguists and you're thinking like, Vladimir, tell us all the interpreting secrets in the world, which I honestly don't know. But I'm telling you non-linguistic tips that do affect your performance. They actually do. So next one, dress to impress. And it's easy. Like if you dress in a way that you like, if you think you look more handsome or more beautiful or more professional, if you want people looking at you, then you will be speaking in a more confident way and so on and so forth. You know, it will be one extra drop in the ocean of confidence. Why not? And whatever good means to you or professional means to you, you figure that out. I'm not your style coach. Okay, next one, another simple tip, arrive early if we're talking about interpreting assignments. Why? Because if you're running late, okay, sure, that might give you some running practice. And I tell you, I have definitely used my running skills in reaching court cases on time. I've had to put it into a very high gear sometimes, but it's best to arrive early because then you're chill, you're calm, you're relaxed, you're grounded. In all senses of the word, grounded means like stable and nonchalant. And you feel better, and you also, I didn't put this as a tip, I probably should have, but you have a way to meet people. This actually should be a separate tip, but we don't want to do 14 tips, so I'm going to include it in this tip. But meeting people who will be part of your interpreting is actually a really good idea. It's a trick because it makes you less nervous. You establish rapport, communication, understanding, and communication being a part of understanding, it is actually easier for you to communicate when it comes the time to interpret because these people are no longer strangers. They may not be your best pals or buddies, but they are at least your acquaintances. Okay, so arriving early puts everybody at ease, and it's good. Okay, next, if you arrive early, I think this is tip number 6, is you can check your equipment or their equipment or whatever technical, sometimes it's not equipment, but whatever technical things you need to do. It might be as simple as like making sure your notepad and your pen are ready, you have your water. If there's a microphone, you've checked the microphone. If there's simultaneous equipment, you've checked simultaneous equipment. It's a very, 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 very good idea because we all know Murphy's Law. Exactly. And things very often do go wrong. So it's a very good idea. In fact, it's a must, really, even if it's not your direct responsibility. I'm making it your direct responsibility to check equipment and all the other accessories. Okay, next one. Now we're going to slightly shift gears, but this is good. Rituals. Like, I'm not talking about, you know, a coven of witches, and by the way, that's another number 13, but I'm talking about things that you have noticed or things that are helpful. For example, maybe you like getting a coffee at a particular coffee shop. Maybe again you like wearing a particular dress or a particular shirt. Maybe you like speaking to your wife or your husband or a friend before you're interpreting. Maybe you like, I don't know, something else. Whatever works for you, it's a good idea. So pick your favorite ritual, and while these are different things, I'm going to mention it anyways. Your favorite place if you are translating. I mentioned this in another clip, but you know, if you like to translate in a favorite cafe, in a particular place, and it inspires you, why not? So this is just one little benefit, one little drop, one extra factor that can help you. So it's even a good idea to keep track of what these things are. And this segues right into the next step, which I could have connected with this step, but I didn't. You want to do an analysis of what goes well or what goes badly. Like, honestly, after each interpreting assignment, I would make it a practice to say, okay, what went well? Like, pat yourself on the shoulder or on the back, and then what could have been better? That's a good analysis, but also what things, what factors brought this about. And this connects with the last one that I said, the rituals and so on. But in this way, you'll actually see what it is, or the people, or habits that make you better or make you worse. And maybe they're linguistic habits, maybe they're non-linguistic habits, but maybe you see that having one coffee helps you, but having 7 coffees makes your voice hoarse, you know? Or maybe you'll see something else. And these things don't always have to be logical. You don't have to, you know, understand every single reason. I'll give you an example. You'll almost think I'm superstitious, but I think this is the 5th clip I'm recording today. I'm on a roll. And I noticed that when I put in this running shirt for the last clip, I actually felt more relaxed and I felt better. And sure, it could have been because the running clip was my 3rd or 4th clip, but it could also have been because it's less formal than a dress shirt that I had earlier, so I feel more relaxed. So I'm not questioning it. and I'm just recording this clip and this shit. Who cares? You know, so do an analysis of your assignments, translation or interpreting, what works, what doesn't work. You can also do it for sales, like how did I close this client? How did I not close this client? I'll give you an example. I've seen that always when I do a lot of promotion, jobs come in, and you'll be like, duh, but no, they don't always come in from the same corner where I do the promotion. Sometimes I'll do the promotion in Mexico and about concerts, and jobs come in from the United States and about gastroenterology equipment. There is no direct correlation between the two, but promotion is promotion, and it still helps. That is my observation. Nobody can shake this observation. Okay, let's move on. Now we're getting to the very, very, very basic and fundamental things that I think are going to be super, super duper important. Supercalifragilistically, expialidociously important. I put in two adverbs there. Yeah. It is very important. And again, these things are so simple, but sometimes the most brilliant things are the simplest. You have to have a goal or a purpose of what you're trying to accomplish with interpreting your translation. And I would say a short-term goal and a long-term goal, because otherwise it just becomes drudgery. It becomes a hamster on a wheel. It becomes in a wheel. It becomes a treadmill. It becomes a hamster, a hamster on a treadmill. Maybe Rick can find an image for a hamster on a treadmill. Poor hamster, a little sadistic of me. But anyway, you know, like, why are you doing this? Because if you have a goal, then you have motivation. Then the little barriers and stops and hurdles cannot really hurdle you. You know, like, for example, my mission, and you might be surprised to hear that translation and interpreting are not my life. They're not my life's mission. I'm more of an artist, but I love translation and interpreting, and my mission before I'm done with this life is to raise the level of translation and interpreting in the world, to raise the standards. Maybe it's 1%, but it's tangibly there. And that's why I keep going. And sometimes it's not easy. And short-term purposes, they inspire us because it's something achievable soon. Like, it's very, very good to have a goal that you know that you can accomplish in a day, a week, a month. Like to pass the next test, or to improve your Spanish, or to improve your accent, or you could do a marathon for a month, learning a word a day, you know. But a short-term goal and a long-term goal are really good. I don't actually know what my short-term goal right now is with, well, I do. I have a training course I want to go to in August. I thought about passing the federal exam, but I delayed too much. So yeah, well, right now my short-term goal is to finish the book that I'm on, which will probably take a week, and then to quickly finish the next book, which will probably take a month and a half. And then, yeah, maybe book a job that is as cool and lucrative as my last job, and then go to a training course in August in Cambridge. Okay,